Great. So, big report out from the World Economic Forum saying that the circular economy needs to be scaled up. It's really important. Do you agree that this is a future business model that really needs to be scaled up and mainstreamed?
I certainly do, and that's why we have engaged in this, because I see there's a business case. It's in the interest of consumers. It's also in the interest of planet and society. So yes.
Why is it taking you so long to? If it's such a good idea, why is the moment now?
I think throughout life we all learn, and you see new initiatives coming up. We kind of got involved in this cradle to cradle about a year, 1.5 ago, and really triggered us to get much more engaged in circular economy. And now we launched this Carlsberg circular community. So yes, why didn't we do it yesterday? But sometimes you didn't do it yesterday. It's better to do it today than not to do it.
Peter, from your perspective, taking a sort of really global approach, is this a really dynamic business model for the future?
I think it's becoming so. I think you're right to point to the issue that actually we're still not at scale yet across the economy. But I think what's quite exciting is that we're seeing innovative new business models emerge around the circular economy, whether or not that's sharing economy, whether or not that's reuse, whether that's redesign for disassembly. There are a whole series of new business models. But the really key thing is not that they are purely delivering a sustainability impact in terms of resource efficiency, but actually increasingly we're seeing real examples of companies creating competitive advantage through driving disruption in their industries around the circular economy.
But great concept, but actually every company I speak to says, actually when you dig into it, incredibly complex. You can have one product that has 600 different substances in it, and a lot of the suppliers don't want to tell you what's in them, that actually you need a really systemic approach. You can't do this on your own. I mean, is this really feasible given the current setup, or do we actually need a completely different system in place?
I think you're right to say that in certain cases it is complex, and that is something that I think has to some extent scared some businesses away from using this as a lens to drive the business. I think though what we find is that some of those players I talked about, what we call the transformational leaders, those businesses that are able to drive real tangible objective sustainability impact through circular economy, but also real business advantage and results. I think what we find is that it's not as complex once you get started. You know, you actually need to get started, and you find that the learning curve moves very quickly. The other very very quick point that I'll make is I think we're seeing a very interesting convergence between a lot of things going on in the circular economy and also what's happening in terms of the digital revolution. So I think what we're seeing is, you know, you rightly said green chemistry, 600 different parts of the supply chain, whatever it is, but actually we're finding through machine-to-machine technologies, through mobility, through analytics, the cloud computing, actually we're finding ways for businesses to drive the circular economy by creating more connectivity in their businesses.
Great. And can I maybe add? Because I think when you're dealing with complexity, it's very important you set yourself some realistic, achievable targets. And let's say in our case, we have said by 2016, we must have delivered on 3 activities, 3 actions. We do it not alone, because again, then we have to deal with complexity alone. We do it with our partners, our suppliers, and I think then you're able to do it, and you have a clear milestone you want to achieve by 2016.
And what's the biggest challenge you're finding in this?
Complexity, clearly, and now we're going through the assessment, what needs to be done, what are the opportunities. I think the start is always the difficult part. Also in our case, when you're working with 6, 7 suppliers to begin with, our plan would be to end up with 15 suppliers. Of course, it's complexity, and that's when you have to establish some clear processes and process owners and set some milestones along the way so you can measure against.
Okay, Peter.
I think that's absolutely right on complexity, and I think we hear that from different business leaders in different industries. I think the other thing I would add, and I don't know what your reaction would be, but one of the things we hear, and we were both at the Circular Economy Awards launch, which is an initiative of WEF and the Young Global Leaders Group here in Davos, launching a competition to try and celebrate best practice, to gather case studies. I think there's no doubt that what you hear often from business leaders is that there needs to be also smart policy partnerships with governments to create the right market incentives. That's something that really helps scale.
Yeah. Would you agree with that?
I do. And I can say again, back to the launch event here, the Danish Environment Minister is extremely engaged in this and supportive, and can only help a business like us having a minister being so engaged in this whole area.
Great. Okay, thank you both very much. Thank you.